Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're going to be tearing into a device that I think a lot of people have their eye on.
The Kenwood DRV-A310W dash cam.
Exactly. It looks so harmless, you know, it's incredibly compact. It comes from a huge name in electronics.
But that's the whole point of this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're looking at that gap between the promise on the box and, well, what you actually get in the real world.
Is it reliable proof or is it just too basic?
Or, yeah, too basic to matter when things really go wrong. That's what we need to figure out.
All right, so let's start with what it says on paper. Kenwood is promising some, pretty solid specs here.
Full 1080p video, which is pretty much the standard now.
Right, a wide viewing angle, and this is the big one-wide dynamic range, WDR.
Which is supposed to be the magic bullet for tricky lighting, like facing sun glare or, driving through a dark tunnel at night. You balance everything out.
And then there's the data side of things.
The 3-axis G sensor plus the built-in GPS. So in theory, every single recording is stamped with your speed, your exact location, the time.
Basically everything you'd think you need for an insurance claim, right?
Yeah, and you can even add on a rear cam or that motion-triggered parking mode. On the surface, it checks all the boxes.
Okay, but this is where it all starts to get a little messy because the actual user feedback is really split down the middle.
It really is. I mean, on the one hand, people seem to love how small it is.
Yeah, it's discreet. You can tuck it behind your rear view mirror and just forget it's there.
And the loop recording itself is reliable. You put a decent SD card in there, and it just works. It does the recording part.
But what is it recording? That seems to be the core of the problem.
Exactly, the clarity. For a Kenwood product, this is kind of shocking. That 1080p, even with the WDR, it just isn't quite cutting it.
So you're saying license plates, for example?
They're often blurry, barely readable, unless you're in perfect daylight, sitting still. And that kind of defeats the entire purpose of having a dash cam.
Right. If you can't read the plate in an incident, what's the point?
And, okay, that brings us to the next major frustration, the app.
Oh, the app. Yeah. People seem to really struggle with it. It's how you get your files off the camera via Wi-Fi. But the descriptions are always something like half-baked or completely unstable.
And just think about that for a second. You're stressed out after an accident, and the last thing you want is to fight with a buggy app to get your evidence.
That's a fundamental failure.
It is.
Yeah.
And this instability, it points to this bigger question of its actual utility, not to mention the hidden costs.
The battery. Right. It doesn't have one.
Nope. No internal battery at all. So it's 100% reliant on your car's power, which means that 247 parking mode they advertise.
You have to buy extra hardware for that.
You have to buy and install a separate hardwiring kit. That's a whole other level of installation difficulty.
But let's get to the real nugget here, the GPS data. Even if you do all that, you get the files. Why are users saying the evidence isn't airtight?
This is the real kicker. It all comes down to the metadata.
The metadata? What do you mean?
So the video might show your speed and location on the screen, like as an overlay. But when you export the actual file, that clean, verifiable data isn't properly embedded in the file itself. So when you try to submit it for a serious legal claim or use it with professional mapping software,
it can be dismissed?
It can be seen as just circumstantial. It's not the hard, verifiable proof you think you're getting. It's a tiny technical detail with huge consequences.
Wow. So where does that leave us? Our final assessment is that it's a surprisingly decent, well, basic dash cam.
Yeah, for what it is, it's solid. If you just want a reliable record of your daily commute, a simple proof of journey, it absolutely gets that job done.
So our final guidance is, who is this actually for?
It's pretty clear. If you just want something simple and discreet that won't draw attention and delivers basic recording at a good price,
then it's a real contender.
Right. But, and this is a big but, if you need that crystal clear video, if reading a license plate from a distance is a priority, or if you need legally defensible airtight data for a serious claim,
you should definitely look elsewhere.
Without a doubt.
All right, so that leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on. Considering the shaky app and, more importantly, those very specific issues with the GPS metadata, how should you, as a driver, weigh that trade-off? Simplicity and a low price versus the absolute requirement for legally useful, verifiable data when choosing a device meant purely for incident protection.
Something to think about.
Keep questioning everything. We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.